And welcome back to another episode of Talking Toku, Boston's only podcast about Godzilla, Gamera, Ultraman, and all their kaiju friends. I am your host, David Scrivani.
I am your second host, Brian Kershaw.
And I'm actually really excited for this episode. I don't know about you, but
I'm pretty excited, mainly because this is our first primarily off-script episode we've done.
I mean, ever since we started doing these documents, I feel like everything else before that was pretty off-script because we didn't even have a script to begin with.
Yeah, but I mean, ever since the Rebuild Evangelions we've been doing.
Yeah,
so this might be.
We're doing things a little better this time around.
It's a little bit more candid.
Yeah,
than what you're used to.
But we're not gonna talk about it just yet because there's a bit of a preface I want to go for. So we're gonna wait. I mean, people listening right now, you'll know because you'll see the title of the episode, or maybe I'll make the title of the episode intentionally vague so you won't know what it actually is until we start talking about it.
It's Talking Toku 16. Listen to it to find out.
Yeah, that'll be the episode, right? The title right there.
Yep. Clickbait.
But anyways,
wait, no. The title. Wait, no. If you're gonna do clickbait title, you need to do "We Hate Godzilla." Talking Toku 16.
I like that idea. that it'll get people to listen. I guarantee.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyways, well, we got it's surprisingly given what happened last week. It's kind of a slow news week, sort of. I don't know. We'll get into it. Brian, you want to take this first news thing we got here?
I know that you want to take the second one.
Yeah, because it's big, so
really care about.
I figured you'd want to not do that one.
All right. So our first story is Dawn of the Monsters, the 2.5D brawler video game. What the fuck does that mean?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's a thing.
2.5D, like, you know what? I'll figure it out later. But yeah, 2.5D brawler video game that we actually saw the reveal of back at G-Fest 2 years ago. Oh, okay. I think I might know We sat through a little trailer.
There was a whole panel on it.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay. Has had its official trailer premiered to the public. And let me be the first to say it looks way better than it did 2 years ago. I don't remember a whole lot, which is probably a bad sign.
Well, they didn't really show off a whole lot 2 years ago because it was probably still in alpha. But
yeah.
I mean, the new trailer looks great. Like the graphics look a lot better for one, like all the art style. And now we have a much better look at all the other monsters that you can play as, and it looks really, really cool. And I'm happy that who is it? It's like some not like big AAA studio, but someone.
No.
When I showed it to my good pal Howard Miller, who's my co-host on DCM, Doritos Connections and Mountain Dew, he saw the publisher and was like, "Hey, that's good." Oh, it's WayForward who are behind Shantae.
Okay, I've heard of them.
Yeah, they're good. They're good stuff.
Yeah, well, that's exciting. I mean, if there's one thing that is surprising to me about kaiju stuff in general, is that there's not nearly enough video games.
There really isn't, unfortunately.
I mean, there was PS2 era, maybe you got like a bunch of good Godzilla games, but like nothing lately, which is kind of surprising.
It's mostly like just indie games that are doing kaiju stuff now, and there's not really any AAA stuff that's happening, which is a shame. But
however, dare I say the best kaiju game to ever be released is Godzilla Smash 3 on Android and iOS.
Brian, do you know what time it is?
When Godzilla 2014 came out, it's Smash O'Clock.
There you go, Brian. It's Smash O'Clock, everyone.
Whoever got paid to make those notifications,
give them a raise. I don't even know if they're still.
Give them a raise.
I don't even know if that company's still like around.
Definitely not. Wherever they are, I hope they're getting paid well and writing and coding great notification pop-ups. If you can get it's not available on current anything, but if you can if you can get emulators for.
Imagine getting an
past
emulator
versions.
for fucking mobile games.
Dude, I would do it. The game was fun. I played it on the toilet a lot. So take that for what you will. That's my glowing review of Godzilla
Okay.
Smash 3. But yeah, I mean, I guess the point here is that we don't have a lot of kaiju video games, and the last big one we got, which was Godzilla PS4, kind of sucked.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
It's kind of boring. If you have it, hold on to it because it's going to increase in value.
Yeah,
'cause
it's
out of print.
like I've seen
But
sealed
don't
copies
play
go
it.
for like $300 on eBay.
Yeah, don't play it because it sucks.
Yeah, it's fun for like maybe 45 minutes, and that's being generous.
Yeah, it's not a good time.
Yeah, but hey,
we
Dawn of the
had,
Monsters looks
we-
great. I can't wait to play it. I think it's coming out early next year. I think the trailer said. I can't remember.
Well, as long as it's not coming out around that stupid month where every game seems to be coming out.
Well, let
Which
me,
is like
let me
February, March is a real rough time to release.
Let
a
me
game
double
'cause
check
you
to
have-
see if they have a release date on there. All right, I think it just says early 2022, so it might be coming right around that time.
I mean, maybe like January, maybe very early February.
Yeah, I
but
don't know.
I
We'll
mean,
see.
if they come out during that time, they are competing with
A lot.
Elden Ring.
I mean, again,
Eh.
it's an indie game. I don't think it was gonna sell better than
But
Elden
it's-
Ring, anyways.
Oh, definitely not. But it's gonna get drowned out, which is what they don't
Yeah,
want.
exactly. But,
So,
anyways,
second story.
Yeah, in the wake of Godzilla's 67th anniversary, happy birthday, big boy.
Happy birthday!
A number of announcements were made during Godzilla Fest, mostly collectible wise. I was kind of surprised we didn't get any news as to any new Godzilla media, but shitload of collectibles. So all those collectors out there, I usually try not to include news about figures coming out, but this was kind of the biggest thing that came out of Godzilla Fest with all these stuff. So I was like, well, I gotta do something about this, I guess. So we're gonna fucking fastball these. So first up, most importantly, Tamashi's SH Monster Arts line, we're getting the singular point version of Jet Jaguar, and that'll be fucking
Oh, my
great.
favorite. I might actually buy that because that's my favorite.
I mean,
Jet Jaguar.
I want it. I just hope SH Monster Arts, they tend to be a little, their quality it ain't great. Like the promotional pics always look really, really great, and then the figures themselves are like, oh, what's wrong with Godzilla's teeth there? That's not right.
I remember stuff.
Yeah,
some of the
like
stuff about that.
the 2014 figure, like the paint job on the face was awful. The 2001 figure, which I have and actually really like, it's got the worst overbite ever. And apparently that's the same with the 1991 Godzilla that just came out as well. It's got a really bad overbite.
Wow.
But we're getting
Judgy-
Jet Jaguar with a
super judgy, huh?
yeah. So we're getting Jet Jaguar from Singular Point with a bunch of like accessories. He's got the Anguirus spear. He's got the propellers that allow him to fly, and I think he even has like a little Yun Arikawa that sits in the seat of the propellers that comes with it as well.
Incredible.
Yeah, and we're also getting a Hedorah Monster Arts figure, which is pretty surprising because the SH Monster Arts line has not really touched the Showa era very much. I think they've done the 54 Godzilla, the 62 Godzilla, the 64 Godzilla, and then Mecha Godzilla, and that's pretty much it for Showa stuff for that line. So, and this year was the 50th anniversary of Godzilla versus Hedorah, so I can see why they're doing it. What else? From Mondo, those guys, gotta love them. They got some good stuff. One of which I actually bought. They're doing a vinyl release for Reijiro Kuroku's score for The Return of Godzilla, and it looks really, really pretty. There's like an atomic breath variant, and I don't know if it had its own name, but it was like a red colored vinyl. I got the heat breath one, the heat ray one, because it looked cooler, and also the red one was sold out anyways, so it didn't matter.
Hmm.
But it sounds like they're also going to be doing the other Heisei films. So, if I can have BioWars on vinyl, that I will be able to die happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you've been just every chance you can get gloating about the fact that you have the Showa vinyls.
I know. I mean, you can still buy them.
And
They're just expensive.
I know, but that's it. They're expensive.
Brian, just
I can't afford
get
that.
back on Twitter because Waxwork, like, I feel like every month they do a giveaway on one of those, and they do it as like they give away like an exclusive version that you can't buy. It's like the Mecha Godzilla edition. It's got like it's like embossed in foil, so it's all shiny.
Oh my god, I don't want Twitter, but it might be worth it.
Get Twitter just to try win a sweepstakes every month.
Yeah, and I'll be like you, and I'll get banned because you look like a bot.
Oh my god, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Mondo's also
Entering
doing
too many giveaways.
Yeah, one giveaway. Mondo's also expanding their Godzilla Museum line of statues with a 1954 Godzilla statue. More of the 1984 Godzilla and Hedorah soft vinyl figures, this time in a Imperial and oil slick variants, respectively. The Imperial Godzilla, obviously painted to look like the old Imperial Godzilla figure from the early 80s, I want to say. A Shin Godzilla poster by Florian Bertmer, and a Godzilla vs. Hedorah poster with Japanese variant by the great Tom Whalen, who's done a bunch of Godzilla posters for Mondo, and they all look phenomenal. And I don't have any of them because every time they do a drop on them, they sell out almost immediately. But I'm pretty sure you can get his Terror of Mechagodzilla poster as a puzzle, so that's pretty fucking cool.
Just get it and then glue it together and then put it in
and then
one
frame
of those
it. Yeah,
like really tight frames.
People
and you
do
got
that,
it.
right?
Yeah, I mean, people do it with T-shirts.
Yeah, I think they do it with puzzles too.
Probably.
Yeah.
Just glue it together like Legos.
Yeah. Zoe Models, which is a company I'd never even heard of until they announced this, is doing a 1984 Godzilla as well as a Super X model, which is pretty cool. The newest line of the Movie Monster series from Bandai was revealed, which, of course, includes a Hedorah figure, which actually looks really good. Bandai has been back on an upswing. They were kind of wallowing in mediocrity for a couple of years, but their newest line for the last maybe 3 years or so, they've been back on doing some really good sculpts and paint jobs. But the newest line for next year, I think, consists of the 1991 Godzilla, Gorosaurus, which was a fan-voted figure. That everyone wanted Gorosaurus, and apparently it already sold out the moment, like within a day of it going up for pre-order. So that tells you how much people love Gorosaurus. The 1975 Mechagodzilla from Terror of Mechagodzilla, 1999 Gamera from Gamera 3, and a matching Iris with that as well, which I'm very excited about because it's the Iris especially is a damn good looking figure. I'm still upset I didn't grab the 1995 Gamera figure they did a couple years ago, but I'm sure it's still available. Cavity Colors has announced their next line of Godzilla clothing. This one will be tied into Godzilla vs. Biollante, which will be really cool. I haven't bought any of their stuff, but all their designs are really, really cool. I know Jeff Zorno, who did a bunch of artwork for the IDW Godzilla comics, he did one for their Godzilla vs. Hedorah line, and it looked fucking awesome. So I'm really excited to see what they're doing with Godzilla vs. Biollante. And finally, most interesting of all, we know absolutely nothing about this other than that it's happening. Cup Noodles has announced a merch collaboration with Toho and Godzilla to be unveiled next year. You're ready for some Godzilla ramen, Brian?
I'm down for it. I'm down for it because I ordered the Godzilla coffee, so gotta order more.
Oh, you did? Very nice. You gotta let me know how it is.
Food stuff. Yeah, I was gonna leave it for the what new cool kaiju thing you were checking out, but it's not here yet, so I can't check it out.
Well, once it gets there, you can talk about it. Which one did you get? Like all three, or did you just get one kind?
Oh yeah, I got all three. I had to.
Nice.
Because they got the light roast, medium
Yep.
roast, and then the
Yeah,
the
it's
dark roast.
Godzilla, Ghidorah, and Rodan, right? Or is it
Yeah,
Mothra instead of Ghidorah? I think it's
I'm pretty
Mothra.
sure it's. Are you sure?
I don't know.
You might. Yeah, you might be right. I don't know.
We have
I
technology.
know. I know one
Godzilla
of them. I
food.
know one of them. I know one of them is Godzilla. One, the other is Rodan, but I
Yeah.
don't know.
Oh no, it is Ghidorah. I was wrong.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of the hot
that's what
sauce that has Mothra.
Yeah, I almost bought the hot sauce, but I didn't because I don't really use hot sauce very much.
Yeah, neither do I.
Um,
But
but yeah, so I bought that. So I'll give a proper review of it when I get it.
yeah, absolutely.
And
I'm very excited.
My housemate is gonna partake in the trying of said coffee because I make
Nice.
coffee every morning. So whether he
nice.
likes it or not, he's having Godzilla coffee.
Fair enough. Well, that about wraps it for the news. Again,
Yeah.
there wasn't much, but
Oh,
there was kind of
I
a
had
lot.
one more thing.
Oh, you have one more thing.
One more thing. Yeah, well, because you and I were watching the Godzilla Day live stream,
Mm-hmm.
which was a very funny endeavor because neither you or I understood what was
Yeah,
going
they
on
didn't
at
have
all.
it subtitled at all, even
'Cause
on
it was-
the US Godzilla channel.
It was all in Japanese.
Yeah.
But you and I were watching it and like messaging, and they unveiled a Godzilla whiskey,
Oh, that's
and I said, there is no way that is worth how much it probably is.
Yeah, most likely. I've
I
never
think
actually
it's
had Japanese
probably-
whiskey, so yeah, I don't know if it'll be good. I'm sure it is. I have a bottle of
it
Suntory
probably
in my
is.
cabinet that I've not opened in over a year. But
I guess, but I know it's going to be a lot,
oh yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
and it's going to be even more to import it.
It's also themed
So-
around a bad Godzilla movie. It's themed around the Heisei Godzilla versus Mothra, which sucks. So I mean,
oh
you know,
no,
yeah,
it's a collector's item.
Yeah,
for sure. You
that's
buy
true.
you buy one of it and you never drink
yeah.
it.
You don't even take it out of the box that it comes in.
No.
Um,
Yeah, that was one, and then the other one I wanted to talk about was that everyone who appeared on the live stream was wearing some of the best
Oh,
shirts
absolutely.
I have ever seen. I want all of them.
I'm sure you can get them
and,
at the Godzilla store, but unfortunately, the Godzilla store doesn't do international shipping, so you got to do it through a proxy service.
Yeah, not doing that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm not smart enough to do that.
I can buy you can buy like t-shirts and other merch
Yeah,
that are for here, but you
I
can't
mean,
get that
every so
stuff.
often they do like pop-up stores with a limited amount of like Japan exclusive quote unquote stuff at like random stores around the country. But I mean, I think there was the closest one to here.
I remember they
was,
remember
like,
they
in
had
New
they had
York.
one that showed up.
Yeah.
it showed up on the East Coast.
And apparently,
There's the
from
one-
my one of my friends, he went there and he's like, "Wow, this sucks. There's like two things here.
Oh,
It's not worth the drive."
No.
But yeah,
Come on, Toho. Fucking put a real store somewhere in the US. You would have people that would fly to go to it.
I mean, I probably would.
I would. I don't care what coast you put it on. I'm going to be
Yeah.
on both pretty frequently.
Exactly.
So stop being so cowardly. Put it on a coast.
So should we talk about our next segment, our big segment?
Yes, quick segment. And now it's expanding because we're reaching beyond the scope of
so
r/Godzilla.
instead of r/Godzilla, there was some hubbub on kaiju Twitter earlier this week.
I do appreciate that you put Twitter is cancerous, which is the most broad title.
I mean, is it inaccurate?
It's not inaccurate, but you're describing Twitter as a whole.
Yeah, I am. Anyways, this
I have to
person-
open this up because
Yeah, I
I
gotta open
have
it
to
up too.
relive. Yeah.
So this person, I won't say their handle on Twitter, but they posted something. When this was just about a week ago now. They said, "I don't recognize someone as a Godzilla fan unless they've seen more of the Japanese films than the American ones," which is gatekeeping as fuck, of course. But then they started to double down when people called them out on it. Like going as far to say that if you like the American films, you're racist, which is not true at all.
Yeah, it's not. I just don't understand like that
Yeah, hold
line of
on. Where is
thinking.
it? Yeah, here it is. Here it is. I'm not sorry, but if you only like 4 films, 11% of the 36 in the franchise, I just don't see you as a fan of the franchise just of the 4 films. And when it's only films from your nation, yes, I do suspect xenophobia or racism may be influences. Kiss my tail. And the weirdest
Okay,
part is
so
hold on. The weirdest part is
he posted
they
it twice for one.
they started they started backtracking, claiming like, oh, this account is an RP character. This is not my own thinking. It's just this is the character. I'm like, I don't think that's the case. Like, you only posted that after you got crucified for this by every Godzilla fan ever. So I don't know.
His last post is my post was stupid. I am sorry.
Yeah. So maybe they. I'm looking at that post, and one of the comments is just, "Okay, I think you've had enough of being lynched." And the picture,
Yeah.
and the reaction picture is Godzilla Ultima with with RP
asterisk.
brackets, piss on him. So
Oh my
stupid.
god.
That's good. That's funny. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I think the take, like, I'm not sorry if you don't like 4 film, like if you only like 4 films of the 36th in the franchise, I don't see you as a fan of the franchise, just the 4 films. Like, that is not the worst stance. Like, it's still gatekeepy, but it's not like utterly like detestable. But when he brings in fucking xenophobia to explain it,
that's just fucking
like,
stupid.
stop it. Like, that is not xenophobia. Like, if you don't like the Japanese Godzilla movies, you don't like them. You just don't. It's like not liking American movies or not liking Korean movies or European. It's just like, if it doesn't suit you, then you don't like it. It's just how it is. It's not because you hate Japanese people. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure there are some people out there who do not like Japanese movies because there are Japanese people in it, but that is the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, no.
Like,
this is just the biggest fucking stretch I've ever seen.
It really is, and even the first part, which I don't think is that bad, but it's still pretty shitty to say that. Like, you can be a fan of something.
Yeah, like it's like saying, I don't know. It's like saying, oh, you don't have 5,000 hours in Destiny, Brian. You're not a true Destiny fan.
Oh my god, stop it. It's the same thing as someone going like, "Oh, you like Nirvana? Name more than one song."
Oh, absolutely, that's what it is.
It's the same fucking thing. Like, just stop it. It's so lame.
Yeah.
It's so lame.
Yeah.
And if anything, it makes you look like less.
Yeah.
It makes you look like not a fan yourself.
Yeah, like gatekeeping. I feel this could honestly be its own fucking entire episode. We could talk about this, but gatekeeping, I feel it does more harm than good, because it'll turn people away from the franchise because, you know, you're trying to be all high and mighty, and people will get turned off by that. Like, oh, I don't want to be part of this community if these people are shitty like this. No, thank you.
Like from my own experience, like, you know, with like, you know, kaiju and you know, specifically Godzilla media, like, the best part of it is like the people I've met through it, and because of it, like, everyone I met at G-Fest was awesome. So, like, you know, it's one thing to just like the movies, but it's also people, like, finding people that you enjoy. It's the community part of enjoying something, the fandom or whatever. But you are completely severing one half of something that contributes to enjoyment, like the enjoyment of the franchise.
Yeah.
By gatekeeping people, because then you're completely, like, denying that they enjoy it or they're fans of it, which just deter them from wanting to interact at all, and then they'll probably just never watch the movies ever again because they're like, oh, I guess I'm not a fan now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, Like if you're a shitty part of the community, then one, the community is going to hate you as a whole, and two, you're just limiting the reach that it could possibly have.
Yeah, you know, I just had this thought. Someone I used to be friends with, but I'm no longer on speaking terms with. I told them about Godzilla, and they were really interested in it. And then, like, maybe 2 weeks later, they came up to me and were like, "Hey, I watched Godzilla, and I really liked it." I'm like, "Oh, which one?" And it ended up being the 1998 film, which, you know, it's not the worst thing to have seen for the first Godzilla movie. I mean, a lot of people, that is what that movie was what got a lot of people into Godzilla. But
for a while, it was the most accessible.
It was, yeah. But the fact that they watched that film and enjoyed it and they were like, you know, hungry for more, like, I would consider that person a fan, you know?
Yeah, it's the, like, everyone starts out only having watched one movie.
Yeah.
And what makes them a fan is if they desire to watch more and, like, learn more about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, not like, you're not going to have someone who, you know, hunkers down for, like, what's the time we like figured out what was to watch every single Godzilla movie back to back, like a month or something.
No, it's not a month, Brian. It's like 3 days.
And then emerge from their, I said a month as a joke, but then emerge from their room and declare themselves a fan, and that they can now interact with people. That's not how people work.
Yeah.
It takes people time to watch stuff and actually, like, finish a series or, you know, a franchise of movies or whatever. It takes time to do that, and to, like, whatever. So, like, if they've only watched one movie, even if it's not like a movie that you would consider quote unquote good, what matters is that they're interested in it.
Exactly.
So, all in all, this guy is a dick, and he backpedaled because he knew.
Hold on. I meant to mention earlier, because I just remembered.
Okay. Go for
they them pronouns, Brian, for this person.
Huh?
They them pronouns for this person.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You know, we're not monsters.
No, we're not. I had no idea. Though.
I only just remembered like a minute ago, so don't worry about it.
All right. Well, they're being a dick.
They are, but
stop it.
It looks like they've stopped. I mean, I think they've. I can't really tell if they're being serious or not anymore. Anyways, don't be a fucking gatekeeper piece of shit. It's not cool. Even if it's in character, it's just not cool. Because you have people also taking it seriously.
Also, like, if you like, this is the thing that like pisses me off the most. Stop claiming xenophobia or racism whenever anything happens that you don't like. It like flattens the meaning of that. Like, it takes away all It's like the big thing where everyone is calling everyone a Nazi. Like, it's just lost all meaning.
Yeah,
because it's like the word that
Brian
throw around.
Look at it this way. Like, had I asked you, a month ago, 2 months ago, hey Brian, are you a kaiju fan? What would you have said?
Yeah.
No, you're not, because you've never seen anything Ultraman related. That's what it's like.
Oh,
that's what it is.
You got me.
Yeah,
you got me.
That's what it is. Like that.
And then after that, it's like, oh, and also you're racist, so you can't.
And also you're racist, so don't watch Ultraman anyways.
Yeah, you've never seen Ultraman, so you're racist.
I'm gonna start telling people that.
Oh my god, yeah, definitely.
Anytime Ultraman comes in conversation, you're a fucking racist.
You've never seen Ultraman? You've never seen Ultraman on Tubi? You're racist.
Oh god. All right. So I think that about does it for our Twitter sucks topic. Do we want to move on to our main topic, which I still need to preface?
Yes, I would be down to do that. Because this is the first time ever where we've been on a time crunch because someone here is busy.
No, it's not that there's just someone else is coming in to record a podcast later on.
Busy?
Yeah, sure. Anyways, so the reason I wanted to do this topic was that. So hold on. Did you watch the Godzilla versus Hedorah short, right?
I did not
Oh,
actually.
you did not? Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna send it to you because this is important. It's 4 minutes long. It'll be fine.
Okay.
We can do a reaction segment of the podcast.
No, it's okay. I don't have to do a reaction.
Okay.
It's fine. I mean, I could just look it up. It's on YouTube, right?
It is, but it's like it's only on the Japanese channel, so it might be annoying to find. So
fair enough. Give it to me. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Watch this. Oh, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
While you're watching it, though, I want to give a big shout out to Tom Martin over at Undead. Is it Undead Wizard? I want to give a big shout out to Tom Martin over at Undead Wizard for doing our new logo. This episode will be the first time we've had the new logo up, and we've talked about it on the show before, but kind of being like, oh, whenever this gets done, kind of like tongue in cheek. But the reality is that he was really busy, and he had this big project going on that he just didn't have time to do the logo. But he messaged me a couple of days ago saying, hey, guess what I finished last night? And and I mean, you guys will see it when this episode goes up, but it's awesome, and he's awesome for doing it. And even more so, he said, hey, I feel really bad about taking so long on this. You don't have to pay me the rest of the $150 you owe me. I'm like, are you sure, man? That seems like a big chunk of change for an artist. And he's like, don't worry about it, man. I feel bad. He said, I should have finished this in a respectable amount of time, and I really failed on that, so I feel like I can't accept it. So I said, you know what? Fair enough. I'm going to give you a shout out on the show, and if I ever run into you at like a Lich King concert, I'm going to buy you a beer or something. So, Tom Martin, you're a great guy. In general, I've met you before at RPM Fest that one time. Great dude. Love him. Come on the show. I know you don't like kaiju stuff, but come on the show.
Friend of the show. Dude who did our art.
Yeah.
We'll talk about something else.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else.
Maybe we'll do an off-topic episode.
Yeah.
Someday.
Maybe. We'll see. I don't know how well that'll work, but... So to preface this main topic, we're going to be talking about the Godzilla vs. Hedorah short that came out of the Godzilla festival that happened for the 67th anniversary. First things first, Brian just watched it like literally 2 seconds ago. We have like 5 minutes of stuff we're not going to use because he was watching it at the time. So, but
yes.
There's something in the credits that I want to ask you about. That very last thing in the credits when the music cuts out and that swipe goes across the screen with that blade sound. I've seen exactly one person theorize that means we're going to get a Godzilla vs. Gigan short next year, because next year is the 50th anniversary of Godzilla vs. Gigan.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Because it seems pretty pretty. It's you get the swipe as of a blade, you hear the blade sound, and the music cuts out really suddenly. I think we're definitely getting a Godzilla vs. Gigan short. I mean, if the Godzilla and Hedorah suits from Final Wars are still intact, I have to assume the Gigan suit from Final Wars is also intact.
Probably. I love that Gigan suit.
I know, but real quick, I guess we'll do a mini review of that short. It's fucking rad.
It is. And when I was watching it, I kept saying over and over again, God damn it, I wish this was an actual movie.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool camera stuff in there. Like, I love that shot, the shot that's like when the camera's like kind of like attached to Godzilla's hand as he's uppercutting Hedorah. Like, that's so cool. And then there's that like one long tracking shot that's like going past the buildings, but they're like fighting behind the buildings. I was gonna say
that's I was watching all that and I was just like, man, this is like really good camera work. This is like It's something that I just don't think we get with like big budget Hollywood
Yeah.
movies.
And so
Just don't
now
get it.
I'm gonna steer this towards our main topic. When I first watched it the day after it premiered, because it premiered for me at fucking 5 a.m, because that's how time zones work in Japan. um, when I first watched it, I honestly kind of felt myself getting a little emotional, because as we talked about in the last episode, this is the first time we've gotten really anything Godzilla that uses traditional tokusatsu effects, and I'm like, oh
Yep.
man, this is like making me feel like a kid again. This is like making me remember like why I fell in love with these movies. So I wanted to
Yeah.
talk today about, what, instead of doing like a Godzilla retrospective of just watching the original film again, we would do a retrospective of our own personal experiences with Godzilla and kaiju, because I think that'd be a really cool idea. And, for more than one reason, for many, many reasons, actually, this podcast wouldn't exist without Godzilla. Obviously, there's the one reason. It's a podcast about Godzilla, so obviously it wouldn't exist. But, I mean, for me, like, Godzilla is the reason I got into film, and I went to film school because of that, and then I went on internship, which is where I first started doing this podcast as part of my internship. And even if that all happened, like, Brian, there's a good chance I would have had a different co-host if not for Godzilla.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean,
Yeah. You and I became friends mainly because we both liked Godzilla.
Yeah, I remember it very well. Actually, we were at good old Gooch Park, and you were playing with those fucking rad Lego Tyrannosaurs. That I don't wish I remember what line those were from, because those were awesome. And I fucking love dinosaurs. Who didn't love dinosaurs at that age? And I think I just I mentioned, hey, you know what Godzilla is? And you were like, fuck yeah, I do. I mean, not obviously, that wasn't a direct quote from little,
didn't swear back then. My mom would have beat me.
But
I was like, heck yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know Godzilla.
Yeah, so yeah, there's our origin story. I mean, we probably
and also a little funny thing about that is that Dave actually hated me.
I didn't hate you. I didn't hate you.
You didn't hate me, but you were profoundly annoyed by me.
I was, yeah.
Because I touched your bionicles.
I don't remember that being the case, but it probably was the case.
I was super, like, I saw them because you brought some in, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. I touched it, and you were like, stop.
That sounds about right.
Don't touch it. Don't touch it. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. Yep. I remember that, and I don't remember anything from that age, but I do remember that.
Yeah, no, because Godzilla has been such an intrinsic part of our lives, Brian, of our friendship, and that's just kind of in general. Like, I feel like some of my best friends I have made through Godzilla, through stuff at like G-Fest and various online groups. Like Jared. Like, I wouldn't know Jared.
Friend of the show.
You're gonna say that every time I mention him, aren't you?
I have to, anytime anyone is ever on this show, I have to say friend of the show when you mention them.
Okay. We've only had the one person on the show.
If we ever on the Instagram page that I am making tonight, so follow it. I'm gonna have a list of friends of the show.
Okay, just the one
in the bio.
Okay,
in the bio.
Well, you can. He's got an Instagram. He's got multiple Instagram pages. So
we have 2 friends of the shows.
Oh, Tom.
No. Well, Tom, yes, because he did the art, but also Jake.
Oh, Jake.
First,
yeah,
the first ever friend of the show.
He was only on the show because he happened to be in the building at the time.
Yep, first ever friend of the show. Lucky day.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think I would have had nearly as many made nearly as many friends as I have over the years, if not for Godzilla, because of all, it brings people together, Ryan.
It does. I think that, like, aside from you and I saying a lot of the times that, like, oh, there's a bunch of cancerous people in this community, which there are in every, but like a lot of, what, a lot of my experience with Godzilla and like kaiju media has just been like, oftentimes through you, because I'm not the most social person myself, but like I've met a lot of really awesome people, and even if I don't consider myself friends, like more like, if I see them around, I'd be like, oh, hey, I know that guy.
Yeah.
But like, I met a ton of people at G-Fest, just going to G-Fest in general.
Most of them I introduced you to because they were my friends.
Yeah. Yeah. But like just going to G-Fest, which was like such like a pipe dream for a long time for me. I think that was probably one of airline troubles aside, one of the best experiences I've had, because it was just like so welcoming, and there was like so much to just do and learn. Yeah. And I got to meet some people that I've only, I got to meet, Akira Takarada, which is one of the coolest things ever.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the first time you've ever met anyone from like that. Yeah. From kaiju anything. Like I'd met him a couple of times.
The only celebrities I have ever met have been from Godzilla stuff.
That's fine by me. There's nothing wrong with that.
And I'm completely A-okay with it, because every this has to do with, like the Kaiju Masterclass stuff from this weekend too, which we're going to talk about at the end segment.
Yeah.
But like, with the people involved in these productions, they're all just so humble and so nice to meet. And like, I just don't get that with like other stuff.
Yeah.
Like other things that I enjoy. It's just the creators and people close to it. They're just so like ethereal and kind of just detached from the communities.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I mean, with Godzilla media specifically, and like other like kaiju stuff, because a lot of people who work on like other stuff, like other properties, also have worked on Godzilla too. Yeah. So it kind of goes hand in hand. But like everyone's just so like they're very close together, I guess. Like they're all part of the same community. It's not like you have sub communities. Everything's just together. And like, yeah, you always have bad people, but like everyone I've met has been awesome. And for me, someone who's generally been pretty introverted my whole life, it's made a big difference for me being more social, because it gives me talking points and it gives me stuff to talk about myself. Because even people who don't know what Godzilla is, oftentimes, just because of how ecstatic I get about it, it's interesting to them.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like for people who aren't, like myself, who aren't super talkative, once you give them something to talk about, it makes conversations easier. And like it's contributed a lot to my personal growth and me, getting friends. And even with you and I think most things we've ever done together have had something to do with Godzilla or something. Most of the time when we hang out, it's to watch a movie with a giant monster.
Yeah, I'd say like 50% of the time we hang out.
It's like 50-50.
Yeah.
It's either that or like concerts or something.
Yeah.
And especially in the early years of our friendship.
Oh, it was absolutely.
But then it was definitely 100% Godzilla.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. So, I think for me, I just like, it's just this like the social part. Like gives me something that I can, that like motivates me socially. And, and whatnot.
Like honestly, like I mean, like I said, like it's the reason I went to film school, because when I was a kid, I wanted to be a suit actor. I wanted to be the guy in the Godzilla suit stomping around.
You still can go to Japan.
Well, I'd have to go do Ultraman for that, not Godzilla.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like that's the reason I went to film school, because I wanted to do suitmation. And I honestly don't know what kind of person I would be now if that hadn't been the case. Like I would be an entirely different person now had I not been introduced to Godzilla. I can't even imagine who I would be if not for that. I mean, I don't know about you, but it's literally one of my earliest, probably my earliest memory of all time is when I first watched Godzilla. Like I remember exactly how it happened, but I remember especially the day after, like that is like crystal clear in my mind. So what happened was it was probably late 2000 because first movie was Godzilla 2000, spoiler alert. My dad, when we lived on the West Coast in Portland, Oregon, my dad usually worked the late shift at work. So, and me being a kid who still loved his parents, I would stay.
My God.
I still love my parents. That was a joke. For legal purposes, that was a joke.
You hear your dad just walk in the studio and smack you across the head.
But yeah, because I was a kid, I would stay up late and wait for him to come home so I could say goodnight. And one night he had a VHS copy of Godzilla 2000. And I, like every other 3-year-old, was fucking obsessed with dinosaurs because who wouldn't be? So what better thing for a kid who loves dinosaurs than seeing a VHS with especially that art? The box art for Godzilla 2000 slaps hard. What better for a dinosaur loving kid to see a gigantic fire breathing dinosaur surrounded by, you know, jet fighters and battleships in a burned out wreck of a city? Like that blew my mind as a kid. So we watched it right then and there. And, you know, I went to bed, and in the morning, this is the crystal clear part. In the morning, I got up, and instead of going to wake up my parents, I got up, went into the living room, put the tape back in the player, rewound it, and watched it from the beginning. And the crystal clear part is that I remember sitting right directly in front of the TV, looking, like craning my neck up because it was on a TV stand, and watching this. The fact that that's like my earliest memory should tell you like how important Godzilla is to me. Like that is my earliest memory.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you've ever even told me that. What
really?
the hell?
Have I not? Oh my God.
No, never. No. I mean, I don't think I've told you mine. Maybe.
I don't know. You should tell me now, Brian.
Well, this is a little bit more downery.
Okay.
But
all right.
For anyone who doesn't know, my parents are divorced. And I was at my dad's apartment, and I was sitting on like this. Oh God, I think I was in my. I don't remember. Like he's been in so many apartments, so I don't remember all of them. But I remember it was like this TV room. It was like pretty small, and there was like a really shitty futon that used to be in my own house. And because this was back when Blockbuster was around.
Oh,
and
I miss it.
And we got Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2 and watched that. So, yeah.
Gotta love starting with a mid-tier movie.
Yeah, but I dug it. I liked it. It probably contributes to why I love Mechagodzilla so much.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
But I think that, you know, me being a kid who just had their parents separated, it helped because after that I kept asking for more Godzilla movies, and that's all I would ever get. And my dad, being my dad, would only ever let us get one movie from Blockbuster, and I had to share.
That's how it was with my.
I had to split the week with my sister and myself, so we would always do a every other week. So I'd get to watch one other Godzilla movie or the same Godzilla movie every other week, depending on what Blockbuster had, which was Not a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Blockbuster especially like helped with a lot of people in the like getting into the franchise because
Yep.
like that's kind of like that was kind of like the best place to find Godzilla movies was a video rental store because like this was before
Yep.
the internet. You couldn't really order things online yet.
Nope. And they were all like I mean, like most of them were VHSs.
Oh yeah, this was
They
like
had
before
DVDs.
DVDs like even were a thing.
Yeah, they had some like DVDs later down the road, but
Yeah.
I mean, at that point we just started buying them.
Yeah, exactly. But
'Cause
yeah,
my dad got sick of me and my sister fighting over who was going to get. I remember that part. My sister used to scream at me
Oh,
about,
very nice, very nice.
about wanting to get one movie and me wanting to
Just
you know,
get more
watch
Godzilla.
a Godzilla movie. Yeah. Yep. I want Godzilla.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I remember.
For me, it was a lot of the Heisei movies that I started
Yeah.
off with.
I mean, because those were like the most recent at the time.
Yeah.
Which is is why I think a lot of like younger fans really still love the Heisei movies, especially.
I remember me specifically. I always have trouble remembering which Godzilla movie was my first because at that time my memory sucked. My memory still
Right.
sucks. But I watched all of the Heisei movies like really close together because that's when I first like really got into it.
Yeah.
And so my answer always fluctuates between Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2, which is the one I'm pretty sure about, and the Godzilla versus King Ghidorah Heisei one,
Yeah.
which yeah, I don't know which one's worse, but
I'd say King Ghidorah personally.
probably, but yeah, I don't know. That's for me. But you know,
on the topic of Heisei, Godzilla, and video rental stores, I'd only ever watched The Return of Godzilla once until very recent. Not very recently, but not until high school, and that is because I got it once at a Blockbuster. And I watched it, and that opening scene on the boat with the Shakiris, the mutant sea louse, scared the hell out of me as a kid, and I never wanted to watch it again.
I remember
that's
you
like
always
a pretty scary scene.
Yeah, I remember that you would always cite that as why you probably haven't watched it.
Yeah, and now it's like in my top 10 Godzilla movies.
Oh my! Yeah, I actually really do need to go back and watch Return of Godzilla.
It's real good. It's even better if you watch it back to back with Godzilla versus Biollante. Oh, that's some good stuff.
That is the one Heisei movie and one Godzilla movie period I need to buy.
Good luck, because that is out of print.
I remember. Well, I remember this is the biggest challenge of being a Godzilla fan nowadays is good luck getting the rare ones.
Yeah, it's
honestly you either pay 80 to 100 or you wait.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people talking about this recently. Like, it's kind of weird that in 2021 with Godzilla as big as it is, you know, it's probably the biggest it's ever been. Like, there's still not like a decent way for international fans to access all these movies.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, it's gotten a little bit better. Like, you have a lot of them on HBO Max.
But that's like just the Showa stuff.
Just
there's
the
like
Showa.
Heisei and Millennium, like you can't really find them anywhere. Like, you might find them on Crackle or something.
Yep.
But
I mean, you can go find them on Blu-ray relatively easily.
I think Biollante is gone.
Not Biollante, but the rest of the Heisei.
I think the Godzilla versus King Ghidorah and Godzilla versus Mothra Sony double feature, that's also gone. I want to say.
Really?
I could be wrong about that.
I'm lucky for having two movies that I'm never gonna watch.
Yeah, right. But
yeah,
hooray
for me.
I don't know about the Mechagodzilla 2, Space Godzilla, and Destroya Megaguirus double features. I'm pretty sure the Godzilla 2000 Sony Blu-ray is still good, and I know for a fact the Return of Godzilla Bluray from Kraken is still easily accessible as well. That's like the only Kraken.
That's the one
Blu-ray.
I have.
I still need to buy that. I do not own Return of Godzilla legally.
Oh my god.
Well, because that Kraken release was the first time since VHS that movie was made available in the States.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
I don't know. I got it. It was at Newbury Comics.
Yeah.
Actually, Newbury Comics is where I have acquired most of my Godzilla movies.
I just
So
bought them
thanks,
on
Newberry
Amazon.
Comics. Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of Amazon, as shitty as they are nowadays, the first Godzilla movie I ever owned was ordered from Amazon. That was Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2, because it was,
Oh no.
well, the thing is, because we've talked about it. I think I'm pretty sure we're in agreement. Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla is both of our favorite Godzilla movies of all time.
Yep.
To the point where my mom used to tell me the plot of Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla as a bedtime story.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I wish my mom would do that.
Call her right after the show and be like, Mom.
Hey mom, can you stay up until 3 a.m. until I go to bed at 12 o'clock to tell me a bedtime story?
A Godzilla bedtime story.
Yeah, can you stay up until 11 PST, please?
But yeah, because I loved that movie so much, I obviously I wanted to find Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2, but that was the one movie that I could never find at any video rental store. So eventually my mom just bought it for me one day, and I think me and my dad were staying home that day just to hang out. And now that I think about it, this is another pretty crystal clear memory. I remember the doorbell ring and being like, "Oh, who's that?" And my dad was like, "Oh, well, it's the delivery man. What do you think he's got?" And I remember just jumping up like, "Oh, fuck yeah, Godzilla."
Yep. My god. I do remember, completely off topic of movie acquiring movies. I do remember a lot of when you and I were friends at the after school program, and you would just bring in all these fucking Godzilla figures or Godzilla toys.
Yeah,
I remember.
I don't even
that.
think I had that many as when I was that young.
You had. I probably am remembering more than you actually had, but it was pretty vivid. I remember you had Kaiser Ghidorah and shit.
I had Kaiser.
That was the big.
Kaiser Ghidorah, I think, was a birthday present. My dad took me to this little hole in the wall place a couple towns over, which I don't think exists anymore.
Probably not.
It was Creature Double Feature or something. It was Creature Feature something or other. It was in Cambridge. And you had to call ahead to let them know you'd be coming in. That's how hole in the wall this place was.
Oh wow, pre-COVID.
Yeah. So yeah, we went in and my dad let me have free reign of what figure to buy, and I bought Kaiser Ghidorah, and it was the big 6-inch Bandai figure, which he got me the 6-inch 2003 Kiryu from the year before for my birthday, but he let me choose that year. I really wish that place was still around.
Very jealous of that because I love Kiryu.
Yeah, it's still one of my favorite figures.
See, back then I was the Lego guy, and you were the Godzilla figure guy.
I was also the Lego guy, but only for Bionicle.
Yeah, I had all the really fuck you big Lego Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, you did. And you still do.
I still do. I got the $700
the UCS Star Destroyer.
Imperial Star Destroyer that took me, as a 22-year-old adult, took me 1 week to build.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Not Godzilla related, except for the fan art of Godzilla going up against Imperial Star Destroyer, which is something I'm sure we all want to see. Godzilla would win. He'd win.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
For sure. There's no way he'd lose. But yeah, I think those are still memories that I generally carry that stick with me. And for childhood stuff, I don't remember all that much.
No, neither do I.
Especially from single digit age, no way.
Mm-hmm.
I do not remember much, but I do remember specifically hanging out with you at the after school program, talking about Godzilla and looking at all your Godzilla figures and shit, and going out into the outside when it was nice enough, and you just bring them out there and whatever. I remember that stuff, and I still cherish that because it's memories as a kid. Like it's just something you'll never ever be able to do again.
Exactly.
Because it was so like innocent and fun, and like he's just so carefree. And
we were
that's
still happy back then.
Yeah, everything didn't suck ass. Global warming, what's that?
We didn't have to worry about paying bills back then.
Rent, utilities, what's that mean?
Exactly.
What's money?
But I want to kind of roll back to what we kind of started off talking about, like, meeting some of these people who are involved in the franchise. I remember the first time I went to G-Fest, it was 2013. It was the 20th G-Fest like they'd ever had. So they had Shinichi Wakasa, who built a lot of the Heisei Millennium suits, and Tom Kitagawa, who was the Millennium Godzilla. And I remember, like, I think it was like the first day of the convention, and I was eating lunch with my dad, and then I bought a figure in the dealer's room, and I ran upstairs to our room in the hotel to go drop it off in the room. And as I was heading back to the elevator to go down, I saw Tom Kitagawa in the hall. And he was just going down the hall to his hotel room. He's got like a beer in his hand. It's, fucking 2:00 in the afternoon.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Man of the people.
And I'm like, this was 2013, so I would have been 15 at the time. So I'm this little nervous 15-year-old kid, like, should I say something? And like, full disclosure, you have not met Tom Kitagawa. I've met him twice now. Tom Kitagawa is one of the most down-to-earth dudes I have ever met. Like, he like noticed me looking at him. He's like, "Hey, come here." He waved me over, and I'm like, and because he's Japanese, I didn't know how much English he spoke. I'm like, picture. And I took a picture with him, and so you can see it's still on my Facebook. You can see me. I had it as my profile picture for a while. It's just me with me with the dopiest smile on my face, with Tom hanging out with Tom Kitagawa, who's got a beer in his hand at 2:00 in the afternoon.
That's incredible.
It was. And then I met him later that day at the signing, and I still have my copy of Godzilla against Mechagodzilla signed by him and Wakasa, because he did the suits for that movie.
Yeah.
And then like 2 years later, I think it was 2 or 3 years later at Anime Boston, which honestly I'm surprised you didn't come with me to. They had Akira Takarada and Haruo Nakajima at Anime Boston because it was that year it was kaiju mecha themed.
See, that decision of me not going, I don't remember what the reason. It haunts me to this day.
Yeah,
that I didn't go.
I really don't know why you didn't go.
I honestly have a feeling, I don't remember what it is. The only like conclusion I can come to is that something important came up.
It must have been, because I can't think of anything else that would have disallowed you to go meet Nakajima of all people.
If it was 2 years after that, then I would have been like 16 or 17 and you would have been whatever. So yeah. I definitely would have A, had the money, and B, had the time. So the only thing I can come up with is that something important actually came
whatever
up
the hell it was. But
it haunts me to this day. So thanks.
You're welcome.
For bringing it up.
Well, no,
to make me feel bad.
No, because this is a good memory for me, Brian.
Oh my God. Okay, fine.
But that was actually the first time that I met a lot of people I'm friends with now. People like Rich Iso and Brian Matashio and Christine Chapin. I don't know. I've met her like 3 times in my life. And my good pal Scrooge Jones, who I really should get on this podcast. He's a great guy.
Remember him? He was awesome.
That's right. I did introduce you to him at G-Fest. Of course,
he had a fucking awesome suit.
Yeah. That's his shtick. He wears a suit.
Yep. Yeah, we should definitely get him on and make him a friend of the show.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah,
I
official title, friend
official
of the show.
title. I remember I met him the night before the con because like you could like go to the Heinz Convention Center and get your pass, your badge to get into the convention the day before, so you don't have to wait in line. And I met him there, and we shot the shit because it was the first time I'd seen him in like 3 years since G Fest. And he had brought donuts from Buffalo, and they were fucking delicious. So I just the whole weekend I just kind of hung out with him, him and Jordan Bradley, who's a friend of mine from up in Maine, who I should also get on the show. He'd be a great fun to talk to on the show too.
Get them all. Do one
everyone.
big community podcast episode.
That'd be ridiculous.
It's like 9 people.
Yeah, and the best part about it was Tim Bean and Jim Cirinella, who I don't know if it was called, if they're like, I don't think it's a company was the right term, but they are the ones who they work for Japan Legends, who are the people who bring these guests to the States for convention appearances. And Tim posted in multiple groups that, hey, we're doing this like private dinner party with Nakajima and Takarada. If you want to go, send me a message. And I'm like, yes, please. It was like $100. It was $100 to go hang out with some good friends and have dinner with Godzilla. And I remember Nakajima didn't know a lot of English, and I just remember he was very soft spoken. He didn't talk a lot because he didn't know a lot of English. He was very soft spoken when he did. I remember I asked him about what he thought of the 2014 Godzilla, because that had just come out, and his assistant, whoever she was, it was before his daughter got involved with helping him at conventions. Which we got to talk about her after this. Yep. She passed along the question, and he basically was like, "Oh, I liked it, but I it doesn't have that heart that I brought to Godzilla because it wasn't like real." And I'm like, you know what? That's good, man. And then Takarada was over on the other side of the table ordering like 10 bottles of sake because he just kept drinking it.
Oh my god.
Takarada likes his sake. Like I was when we went to G-Fest 2 years ago, I was almost like, should I like buy a bottle of sake to gift to him or something? I don't think the airport will allow that though.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. But I was like, I want to. I really want to. Yeah.
Go somewhere in Chicago, get it, bring it to the convention.
Yeah, I would have loved to do that, because that was the first time I'd ever met him, and he was so friendly. Like he was going around to everyone being like, oh, you come to Japan. I'm like, yes, I will come to Japan and hang out and drink with you.
Just pay for me to go, please. I don't have the money.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he was just saying that because he was fucking drunk, but it was still hilarious and very heartwarming.
Absolutely.
And because Takarada is like fairly fluent in English, I was able to tell him like, hey, and I'm sure he's heard this multiple times over his life. I was like, hey, I wouldn't be who I am today if not for what you guys were doing back in the 50s and 60s, man. Like this is like a dream come true for me.
And I got to tell him that the 2019 G-Fest. I got to say that was really something.
Yeah, I remember, because again, like you said, that was the first time you'd ever met anyone from the Godzilla franchise. I could tell you were like nervous, like you were very shy.
I did not know what to say. I'm like, this guy is like, It is like seeing like a famous person. Like you just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do. And me already being a very like socially inept, awkward person. Was just like, how do I do this? And he just was like, he grabbed my hand, he shook my hand, and then we took a picture. And it was just like, said, nice to meet you. And I got to say and it was like, oh my god, like He's just a guy.
Yeah, he's just a dude. Like
just a
Takara
guy.
especially, like he loves that people love Godzilla. Like he is like the ultimate celebrity. He is like Tom Kitagawa. He's super down to earth, and he loves that people love to come see him, and he's super nice. I'm trying to remember. Was he at? No, he was not at Monster Mania. That was someone else. But yeah, and then I took that picture with both of them at the restaurant in Boston. It was Itadaki.
I've seen that picture.
Yeah,
seen that picture.
I am just like in between, quite literally my childhood heroes, and it was it's the most surreal moment of my life, and like one of the best nights of my life, I think, just because like, again with Nakajima especially. I wanted to do what he was doing as a kid, so to be able to meet him and like hang out with him, that it was incredible. It's again one of the most incredible moments of my life. Yeah. So we should definitely talk more about. So actually, before we talk about G-Fest, back on the topic of Nakajima, I want to ask you, Brian, if you remember like. Do you remember like where you were and what was going on when you heard the news that Nakajima had passed?
I was working.
So was I, which was not good.
Wait, no, I wasn't working. I was in college at the time.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. What year was it? Let me just remember.
It was 2016, 2017.
I want to say I was in college, and if it's 2017, yeah, I was definitely
2017, August of 2017.
Yeah, so I was at school, and I think I was in between classes, and I just left. I went home.
I don't blame you.
I don't really get I don't really like cry or like anything. Like I don't do that very often.
Mm-hmm.
But it was such like a kind of like world crashing down moment.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, and for me, that like I just was like I need to go home and just be by myself.
Yeah. I was at work at the time.
I remember you texted me and you were reeling.
I was. So I went on break to go eat because I was working an 8 a.m. shift, so I hadn't eaten anything. Yep. So I had brought a bagel from home because I was like, I need to eat something. I go into the break room. I sit down. I bring out my phone. I see a text from my dad. He goes, "Did you hear what happened to Nakajima?" And my heart fell because I knew he had been having like health problems around that time, but it sounded like he was doing okay. So I'm like, I remember I'm like shaking at this point already. And like, against all better judgment, I open up Facebook, and sure enough, like all my friends from the Godzilla community are posting all these like "Rest in Peace, Haruo Nakajima" posts, and I just immediately I lost my appetite. I'm like getting choked up right now, actually talking about this. Like I immediately like lost my appetite. Didn't eat that. I think I just threw the bagel out. And I just went back into like the back room of Rite Aid and just like sobbed, like full out sobbed for like a good 10 minutes because I was only on a 15-minute break. So I had to like control myself to some extent.
How are you? I just would have left.
I probably should have, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah. And like I had to like, for whatever reason, I didn't leave. And I just had to like do my absolute best to like keep my composure for the next like 3 or 4 hours while I was still at work. I remember you
and I were like messaging. You and I were messaging like all day.
For the
rest of the day. Yeah.
And like you said, like I don't like cry that often when it comes to people passing, especially not with celebrities. But yeah, for someone who, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to bring this up because I knew we were going to get to this topic. But it kind of has to do with what I had said earlier about like the Godzilla community, being that you have the community of regular people, but then also the creators are also so close to the community and are parts of it, and they
Yeah.
interact so much more frequently because it's such a tight knit community between consumers and creators that it feels like you lost a friend or
Yeah.
someone that you would consider an acquaintance. With celebrities, like it's hard to like with regular like Hollywood celebrities, it's hard to feel anything because you don't know them.
Yeah.
You don't know that like they're so like out of your sphere of understanding that they almost don't feel like real people. And but with with like Nakajima and all the other people we've lost, like they feel like they're people that
Mm-hmm.
because you find so much more interaction from them, whether it's from fans like interviewing them or them going to conventions. It's like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I doubt, I'm not saying I doubt it, but like you probably wouldn't have had, I say you and also others probably wouldn't have had such a visceral reaction if they didn't meet him or at least get to, or if he wasn't so intertwined with the community. I guess.
I actually remember like when I was still at work, my dad texted me like you could tell like my dad was like he was feeling like really empathetic at the time because he when I he said, "Did you hear what happened to Nakajima?" And I think I just replied yes because I didn't know what else to say. And he just responded back like, "I'm glad you got to meet him," and that like broke me even more because like
Yeah.
it was
Well, that's why me not being able to like haunted me.
I know.
Forever. Like that's when it hit me. Like, oh shit, I had the chance.
Yeah.
So
Well, hey, we you still got Ken Satsuma and Tom Kitagawa who are still alive and kicking to meet. And I still haven't met
True.
Ken Satsuma either. I was supposed to, but then he had to pull out of a convention at the last minute due to some family health issues or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That was a rough day.
it
and
was
that was
it
one
was
of
a
the
very
first,
rough day. And
we've
you know what the best part? Well, no, I guess not the best part, but the thing about his passing that shocked me the most, the fact
got
that
like international press too.
everyone. It was that, and the fact that the Oscars in memoriam had him in there.
Yeah.
Because
I remember that.
the Oscars in memoriam, they famously snub people who are like really, really big. Like didn't they snub oh god, what's his name? You could literally put anyone here, any big name actor who died in the last couple years that got snubbed by the Oscars in memoriam. Like they're famous for doing that. So the fact that Nakajima got recognized over like all these other big name actors who are
Yeah.
not even arguably just are bigger than him was like I remember like getting like choked up all over again just seeing him on screen.
Or you and I watched the Oscars for the first time just to see if they do it.
Mm.
Like I never really commit to watching the Oscars. Like I
Yeah.
usually watch a little bit of it, and then I like tune back in for like right at the end to see what wins Best Picture. But I like stayed for the in memoriam and even like really the rest of it too, just to see if they would put him in there, and they did.
You know what I'm thinking all of a sudden? Like I just kind of made this connection. That was the year that The Shape of Water won. So I have to imagine if like Guillermo del Toro like himself went to the Academy and was like, please put something for Nakajima in the in memoriam section.
Honestly, I would bet.
It seems like the kind of thing Del Toro would do. Honestly, it really does.
I mean, knowing Guillermo del Toro and like how much kaiju media has influenced him,
Yeah.
I imagine he was probably reeling much the same
Absolutely.
as everyone else.
Absolutely.
And honestly, like this is another thing I wanted to talk about, but like a lot of movies that like we see where like, I want to say specifically Guillermo del Toro.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like whenever anyone says that they grew up with Godzilla, I instantly feel like I know them better.
Yeah,
Like
I'd agree.
like closer, like I because I get it. Like I understand and I know what you like about it, and it's very specific. Like what people like about Godzilla is specific. And if you know it, then they know it and you know them better. So, with with Guillermo del Toro, whenever he talks about growing up with Godzilla and stuff like that, I feel like I not only like him better, as a person and a director, I feel like I understand him better and I have a better understanding. Um, so yeah, I don't know really know where I was going with that, but it's one of those things. It's one of those things where it's aside from just having mutual interest with someone, you know, when it's something like Godzilla, it's just like since the community is so like tight knit, when you find out that someone huge, like Guillermo del Toro likes Godzilla, then like you're just like, oh my god, he likes what I
He's
like.
just like me.
He's just like me. But really, like like you get the sense that like, oh well, he likes it for the same reasons I do.
Mm-hmm.
Because what makes Godzilla appealing is again like it's pretty specific. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff you can like about it, but I don't know. It's just what I like to think about. And Guillermo del Toro specifically has brought a lot of tokusatsu elements into his movies.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
Like he's. I would.
he's
I would consider Hellboy tokusatsu.
yeah. I think
Even more so Hellboy too.
I think he's done a lot to actually carry those traditions forward.
He
as
absolutely
a director.
has, and I'm sure that is exactly what he was going for. Like,
and
I
he
mean,
still
the
does
only
it to
movie
this
he
day.
really used CGI on was Pacific Rim, and that's because you couldn't really do it any other way and have it look as realistic as he wanted it to.
But he still made that movie in a way that made it feel like it was. So like even though he couldn't use practical effects for a lot of it, even though he did make a lot of very practical sets.
Yeah, we've talked about it before.
But we've talked about it, and I'm sure we'll do a full Pacific Rim review someday.
We absolutely should.
But absolutely, yeah.
Anyways, didn't they say like in the pre-production stages, like all the kaiju in Pacific Rim were designed to be like, if we wanted to do a suit, like we could easily build a suit for these creatures. Like they wanted to make it look like so that that could be a thing.
I'm pretty sure that in the special features, Guillermo himself says that.
Yeah,
I think so. I haven't seen the special features in a long time, so I don't quote me on that. But I'm pretty sure. Yeah. But we should start wrapping this up because you're having to go soon. But did we want to talk about Nakajima's daughter and our experience with her?
I think so. I think so because I think that the opening ceremonies at G-Fest 2019 was like the first time I had like gotten emotional over Nakajima again since his passing because I think she said that was like the first like big public convention appearance she'd done since his passing, and I remember like she started getting emotional and like
everyone was getting.
You could tell the entire room was getting emotional.
It was like the heaviest air I've ever been in.
Because like she's
like not like yeah.
No, go ahead.
It just if the room it just felt like as soon as she started talking like it immediately became like dead silent.
Yeah.
But also like it was like almost tangible how everyone was feeling. Like it was something like that you could feel weighing down the air.
Yeah. Like I don't think I've ever really like been in a big crowd of people where I shared the exact same emotions that everyone in that room was feeling.
Yeah.
Like you could tell, like I could hear multiple people start sniffling, myself included.
Yeah, I was going to say I could definitely.
Yeah.
I remember being able to hear that.
Because I remember like when she was talking, she started getting emotional. Because like again, this is like she's just surrounded by people who grew up loving her father's work, and like his work is the reason everyone was in that room. and she was getting emotional. I remember JD Lees, who's the editor in chief of G Fan magazine and the organizer of G Fest. He kind of went up behind her and just kind of like put his hand on her shoulder to comfort her, and it's just like, oh God.
Yeah.
And I go ahead.
I remember like she was up there talking a long time about like just her memories of like her father and like the work that he did and how hard he worked and stuff, and like just hearing about that, it was probably the first time that I actually started to like get watery eyes about everything. Like again, I don't cry a lot, but like being in a room with people grieving makes you grieve harder.
Yeah, you kind of are forced to like be empathetic at that point. Like there's not don't have much of a choice there.
Well, it's not like I had it. I was already upset about it.
Well, yeah, obviously, but like you couldn't with everyone else feeling that way. You couldn't.
I couldn't be my regular stoic self.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that was one of, I think. It's weird because like as sad as it was, it's the only time I have ever allowed myself to be openly emotional around people who are not close friends or family. And I think that in and of itself is something to think about, that if you are part of a community that is that generally empathetic and close-knit, that's something to celebrate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's all people that were there to celebrate his work and his life. Yeah. And it really feels like that was what that whole G Fest was about. Like, it was the G Fest after, and everyone was there. Obviously everyone was there for many
this was 2 years after, man.
2 years after?
Yeah.
Sorry. For me, but she was there.
Yeah, I think like I said, I think that was like the first time she'd ever done any convention stuff since his passing.
So her being there was like, it's like, this is the one where we get to.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I meant. Like for me specifically,
I see what you mean.
Yeah, and the fact that we got to talk to her. Twice. Yeah. Like have like a full conversation.
Yeah, like
that was really special.
I met her in the dealer's room because she was at one of the tables with a bunch of Keizo Murase's stuff. And I told her like, hey, your dad's work meant the fucking world to me. And then I think she did a panel, and then I think we stayed after the panel to go say hi, and I got a picture with her, and she is one of the
I also got a picture
hearts I've ever come across. She is the sweetest person.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I hope she makes it back to G Fest in the future.
I hope so too. I would love to see her again.
Yeah, and hopefully G Fest is back soon, because I would like to go to another one.
I think it's scheduled for next year. I just don't know whether or not COVID still fucks us.
We'll see.
I mean, I guess I went to a concert last week. There's not much. You can't get much closer to people than a metal show.
but also we're talking about Chicago.
Yeah, and nerds at a convention.
And nerds at a convention.
What's the term? There's a term for like convention sickness, isn't there?
I don't know.
Hold on, I'm gonna look it up because it's gonna drive me nuts. Convention sickness. That didn't help. Never mind. I know there's a term for it.
Look it up later.
Yeah,
we're running out of your time here.
Yeah, I mean, we still got half an hour, but we should start wrapping up soon, anyways. I mean, I don't really know what else to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we may have definitely kind of gone down a rabbit hole of conversation.
Which that was kind of what I was hoping for with this episode, really.
Me too. Yeah, I think that it all does fall down into the category of like what Godzilla means to us.
Yeah.
But I think with all these stories, like I hope it goes to show like how one thing, no matter, how crazy it might be to someone who's not familiar with it, may think it is, like it can shape someone from childhood. And it definitely has with you, and it's done that with me.
Yeah.
And like you and I would straight up not be friends.
Yeah.
I don't think.
I mean, I think we would still be friends, but we certainly wouldn't be as good friends as we are now.
No way. No way. Absolutely not. I don't think so.
Yeah.
It was such like if you knew someone who liked Godzilla, it was gonna bond you to them.
Yeah, because like you are like really the only person, the only friend I had growing up with who like actually liked Godzilla. That like I didn't go out of my way to introduce Godzilla to, you know.
I think you were the only person I met like in the wild without the intention of meeting someone who also knows Godzilla.
Yeah.
The only person I met that also likes Godzilla. So like, I think I just don't see us, I'm not saying that I'd hate you or whatever, but I just don't think we would have I don't think we would have bonded as friends the same way.
No, not at all. I don't think.
And then we wouldn't have been able to do all these cool things. We wouldn't have been able to start this podcast.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have been able to go to G-Fest.
I mean, I would have been able to. I just wouldn't have had anyone to room with.
Yeah. You would have spent twice as much money.
Yeah. Or I could have just messaged someone online like, hey, I mean, I was supposed to go to G-Fest last year. I was going to room with Jared, but then COVID.
Oh, that's true. Okay. But yeah. Good conversation. I mean, I would I actually really like hearing about these things. So I think, like I would like, how we kind of talked about, like I asked people to think about what, like, Tokusatsu has, if like how important that is to them in terms of like Godzilla and whatever, like, that conversation we had for the Halloween special.
Mm-hmm.
It's another thing to think about with this topic as well, like where Godzilla's brought you. And it's okay if it's like, oh, it's just something I like it's pastime. But for people like Dave and I, like, it has genuinely shaped us as people and gotten us to do things that we wouldn't have otherwise. And I think it's something important to think about and reflect on.
Yeah, I would. I think it would be really cool to like have more people, like guests, on to talk about that kind of stuff. Because like I know. I'm not gonna say what it is because I don't think it's really my place to say. But I know for Jared especially, like it was really important to him when he was a kid for a very big reason. But like I said, I won't say it because I don't think it's my place to say.
I think definitely sometime down the road we should have a guest or guests on, and we should bring it up again.
Absolutely.
Because I think, now that people know what our experience is, I think it would be nice to have more people from the community come on and talk about it. Because it's interesting. For a lot of people, it's very different. Yeah. And they found Godzilla through very different circumstances. Mm-hmm. And it's, and they found love through it, different ways and in different times. And I think it's great to hear about. So yeah. Wow, this got real.
Yeah, and I'm really glad it did. This was exactly what I was hoping for with this episode, Brian. I gotta tell you.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But should we move on to our final segment, what new cool kaiju thing are you checking out right now?
I think we shall. I'll go first.
Yeah, you go first. I think you actually watched more of Masterclass than I did. Yeah,
so I watched. I think 4 panels. They're a commitment to watch. They're all about an hour and a half.
Yeah, they are.
But I watched 4 of them. I watched the I can't remember them all right. But regardless, I know you plan on watching all of them.
We both watched the Tom Kitagawa interview. I know that much.
Yes, I watched that. I loved that one. And his based as fuck take on Godzilla 98.
Oh my god, that was so great. Honestly, good for him.
Yeah, I really found that very interesting, and I actually really liked hearing him talk about how he liked to play Godzilla, like trying to make it more animalistic.
Yeah.
And I found that to be really interesting because that's what a lot of people actually have been asking for in terms of Godzilla designs and what a lot of people like about legendary Godzilla specifically.
Yeah.
And then I watched the Kitamura.
Yeah, Ryuhei Kitamura.
Yeah, I watched that. That was also really good.
For people who don't know, he's the director of Godzilla Final Wars.
Yeah, I think that interview was really, really interesting to hear because he's like actually a pretty big name director outside.
Yeah.
I think that hearing him talk about Final Wars was a lot of fun, and he was like very candid, like super open about his experiences, and he like talked shit about Toho, like for
Really?
real.
Oh man.
Yeah,
I do.
like it wasn't like mean, like he wasn't like burning any bridges, but he definitely was just like, yeah, I left Japan to go to Australia because the Japanese film industry sucks.
Oh my god. Okay,
Yeah.
full disclosure, the Kitamura's interview is one I did not get a chance to watch. I was hoping to watch it right before doing the show, but I got home at like 6 and I just did not have the time. So I'm definitely gonna check that out. That sounds awesome.
Definitely watch it. It was super super interesting. I started watching the interview with Revenge of Godzilla's composer. I can't remember his name.
Reijiro Kuroku.
Yes, I started watching that. That was also really really interesting. All of them were very interesting to listen to.
Yeah, it helps a lot that John DeSantis and Eric Hominick are like, they both are like, they study music, and especially they studied like Godzilla music. Like they were the ones who put on the concert at G-Fest, which we didn't even mention, by the way. During our main
we'll talk
topic.
about it some other time. Maybe we'll have a part 2 to this.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, like they are the people who know music in the Godzilla fandom. So like
but even
like I think last year they had a bunch of they had some music panels as well, and like it was just them, because they had Michiru Oshima on for a panel, and like it was just them just nerding out about like music theory for an hour and a half, and it's like, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but you're clearly having a great time.
For my experience, it was much the same this year too. So yeah, definitely recommend watching all of them to anyone who has the time. I plan on it. My work means the work I do means that I get to listen to a lot of stuff or watch a lot of stuff while working. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So maybe I'll talk about them. I'll talk about more of the interviews on next episode.
Yeah,
maybe I won't. I don't know.
We'll see.
I'd say definitely it's worth checking them out.
For sure.
And then the other thing I'm going to be checking out is the Godzilla coffee, which I mentioned before.
Yeah, I'm actually very excited to hear your thoughts on that, because like I'm like not like I drink coffee, but I'm not like a coffee drinker.
I love coffee, so
I know.
If it's a miss, it's going to be a big miss.
Yeah, so I'm actually very interested to hear what you're gonna have to say about that.
Expect a full review next time.
That'll be the next episode, just an hour-long review of the Godzilla coffee.
An hour-long segment where I break down every taste and its evolution. And maybe I'll make some like some recipes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, like, I don't know. But yeah, that's what I'm checking out.
All right, cool. I've got two, kind of, not really. The first one is barely kaiju related. I went to my first concert post-COVID, and it was Gojira.
Oh boy,
and that's kind of
real stretching it.
Well, you know, they used to be named Godzilla, but then Toho just threatened to sue them, so they changed it to Gojira. So that is it's sort of related. But yeah, it was one of the coolest concerts I've ever been to. It is the quickest I've ever gotten my ass kicked at a concert, because like I texted you that night, the second song was Backbone off From Mars to Sirius, and for anyone who doesn't listen to Gojira, the main riff to Backbone is like it like if there was ever any riff to headbang to, it'd be the riff to Backbone. So the fact that was the second song, like, my body was immediately sore after that song. I'm like, I gotta get out of here. And then during Flying Whales, I remember you telling me that. Yeah, and then during Flying Whales, I like really screwed my neck up, because I'm of the opinion that the like 2 minutes into Flying Whales, when the main riff like really kicks in, is like one of the heaviest things I've ever heard. Yeah.
I remember you saying the day after, like, I feel like Michael Keaton Batman.
Yeah, I did. I really did. I felt like Michael Keaton. For anyone who doesn't know, I don't know if it's just the first one, or if it's both that and Batman Returns, but Michael Keaton, the bat suit in that movie, like it didn't allow him to turn his neck. So whenever he looks around, you can see he has to move his whole torso around. That's how I felt because my neck was so sore from the concert.
Well, even the Batman Begins suit, he can.
They joke about that in The Dark Knight because he mentions like, oh, I need a new suit. I got to be able to turn my head.
Yeah.
But
what's the second thing?
The second one is also kind of adjacent, but more kaiju related than going to a Gojira concert. I had a random urge like a week ago to start reading the Hellboy comics again.
Nice.
And oh my god, they are so good. Like, Mike Mignola is one of the most creative forces in the comic book industry, I think, because the way he like builds the world of Hellboy and the BPRD, it is so easy to get sucked in. Like, I've been reading like a trade paperback one a day just because they go by so quickly because they're so good. I just started the BPRD. So like, I'm not just reading the Hellboy. I'm reading like the entire BPRD universe stuff. Like, I'm reading all the side stuff too. And I think BPRD, A Plague of Frogs, might be like one of my favorite comics of all time. It's real good. And
mail it to me and I'll read it.
I don't own it. I've been reading them lately.
Oh wow. Okay.
Shh! Don't tell Mike Mignola. He won't come on the show.
I have to cut that out and then.
But yeah, no, I've been reading them online though, so I can't mail it. Do you? Sorry.
Oh well, it's fine. I actually had one more thing that I just remembered.
Go for it.
It's something that you and I have both been checking out.
Oh.
Overcooked 2.
That is technically a kaiju thing.
Or Overcooked.
All you can eat edition.
The All You Can Eat edition. And it is kaiju related because at the beginning of the first Overcooked game, I have no idea about the second one. There is a giant meatball monster that you have to feed as a tutorial. This is definitely a stretch. I just wanted to talk about it because it has tested Dave and I's will to live also our friendship.
It really has.
Definitely play it if you want to test your friendships.
I can't imagine that game would be much fun single player.
No, definitely not. I have not tried it, but I don't want to.
Neither do I.
But yeah, play Overcooked 2, maybe, if you hate yourself. and Overcooked, or Overcooked whatever edition.
Yeah.
All right, well that's all I got. I think we're about ready to wrap it up.
I think that's the end of the show for tonight, everybody.
Yeah. That's it.
I really think this is one of our best episodes, Brian. I gotta say.
I agree, and I think in the future should definitely have a guest or two on, talk about their experiences. And I
agree.
I think we should carry on the old tradition.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. For sure. Well, you, the listener who is hearing this right now, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Talking Toku, and Brian might
the Instagram page.
Yeah,
the Instagram page is going up tonight. I am right after this episode. I'm putting it up. It will be under the Talking Toku, whatever. I'll have Dave put it up on the other socials.
Yeah, I should find the login for Twitter because I don't think I've touched the Twitter in months. But now that I have a cool new picture to use for all our socials, now's the time. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, you can find us at Facebook and Twitter at Talking Toku. Instagram, we're not sure yet. I will definitely put a link to it there. I'll probably link all the socials in the description. I don't really know why I haven't done that before, but
because you're lazy.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, that'll be it. Once again, big shout out to Tom Martin at Undead Wizard for that new logo we have. We absolutely love it. It looks great. Couldn't be happier, truly.
I couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
I actually can't be happy.
Oh.
At all.
Well.
I'm the same mood every day. So I'm actually the same as I was before. No, I'm just kidding. I'm really happy with it.
All right, good.
Go check him out. Go check him out.
Absolutely. He's a great guy, great artist.
Yeah. Friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
All right. Well, that'll do it, everyone. I am your host, David Scravani.
I'm your other host, Brian Kershaw.
And we'll see you next time, whenever that will be, another 2 weeks from now, because that's when we do this show. It's a bi-weekly show. 2 weeks. Goodbye.
It's more of a whenever we feel like it show. All right.
We've been pretty good about doing it 2 weeks.
Relatively.
Yeah.
All right, well, all done.
All right.
Let's get out of here.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.